And if you could just introduce yourself.
I play keyboards in Alice.
My name is Anna Maria, and I am the founder and vocalist in the band Bajra.
What was the initial start?
So we all have pretty storied histories.
I was just bored during COVID. Did a little demo, put it out, and it was pretty well received by the community. And
always had a thing for horror punk and stuff.
Something that started with me and a laptop during quarantine, and just like, oh yeah, all those times I said, if only I didn't have to work my job all the time, and now like I could have time to do that. Well, now this is that.
All right. And if you could introduce yourself to the fine folks at home, I'd really appreciate that.
All right, hey there, everyone. My name is Antonio Lopez. Most people know me as Tone Lopez from Santa Fe Prison Riot, and here with Will today discussing our upcoming release, our first single, Daughter of the Witch.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being here. When you sent me this, we were just talking a little bit before the camera went on. Sometimes, bands will send you stuff and you're like, oh, that's kind of cool, whatever. But when you sent me that song, I listened to it and I was blown away. I'm usually not a big fan of like the kind of psychobilly crossover stuff. I do enjoy it, but I'm very selective of it. And so when you guys sent me that and I was listening to it, I was like, okay, I hear a little Offspring, but it's not the Offspring. It's a little Western. And there's like, you guys have this great guitar solo, and we'll get into all of that in a little bit. But first of all, I just wanted to say thank you for sending that over and giving me a chance to pre-listen to it before this interview. It makes them so much easier when we're talking back and forth like this, because then we have a common frame of reference. Anyways, so let's talk a little bit about the song itself. What is the song about? How did it come about?
Yeah, so the song Daughter of the Witch came about as kind of our response to, I like writing, more the horror type realm, very into psychobilly. And a lot of my songs just revolved around more like horror type topics. And my wife said, you never write anything nice. You never write a love song. So this was my attempt at writing a love song while still having my own little twist on it of, you're in love with the daughter of a witch. So that's kind of how this came about.
For sure, for sure. Well, that's really cool, actually. I love little things like that where like different kind of outside sources in the inspiration kind of come together and like influence the direction a band will go. I know personally as a musician myself, my partner has influenced me greatly and she said some things like that. So that's really cool, man. As far as like the writing process goes, how did this all start? Let me back up a minute. Is there a primary writer in the band? Are you guys a collaborative group, or how does that all come together?
Yeah, so Santa Fe Prison Riot, this group is kind of my passion project. It's something that I'm working with a couple of other musicians that I became real good friends with while living in Salt Lake City, Utah. Both these musicians, the guitar player and the drummer, are primarily in other genres, more indie, more pop punk. So this was more just us kind of throwing all of our different influences together and trying to see how I don't know, I guess trying to see like how it will all mesh together and kind of make something that is a little bit different.
Yeah, well, it definitely shows. Like you can hear the influences of the different styles that you've kind of described in it, but it's done in such a well crafted way. One thing that I really focus on the show is the importance of songwriting. It doesn't matter how technically proficient a musician is or how not proficient they are. If they're a good songwriter, and that goes down to not just lyrics, but the structures of the songs and things like that, you can have whatever influences you want coming into it. And if it's a good song, it is a good song. And I again, I 100%, I think you guys are going to love this when it comes out. I think this is a good song. So talking a little bit about the process of recording all of this, where did you guys record it? How long did that take?
Yeah, so I think we laid down the first like demo takes probably a year ago at this point. This is something completely just all of us had our own little home studios where we kind of messed around, recorded stuff, and a lot of emails back and forth to each other. So yeah, I'd say this is like a year's worth of just a lot of, timestamps, notes, emails sent three ways in a triangle.
Oh man, that's so cool. I love that we live in a time and place where musicians can work like that together, where we can, someone can be in Texas or in California or in Colorado or all the way over on the East Coast or even in Europe or across the world, and we're able to communicate and work like that. There was another band that we had on recently. It was Death Tones. I always slip and say Deftones, but it's Death Tones. And I love Billy Bones. Shout out Billy, love you, man. He was telling me the same thing, that that's how they're working. And I think that I think it's so cool because horror punk can be kind of this niche genre. Psychobilly and horror punk can be kind of this niche genre of music, but there are so many fans all over the world that if they're able to reach out and if they're able to connect together, they create something truly beautiful and incredible. And they just, I love seeing that kind of worldwide community come together. In your guys' case, it's much closer, but this, the principle's there. Um, anyways, that was my tangent on that. So kind of going forward, have you guys played any shows, or do you guys have any plans to play any shows coming up?
So currently, I think we were discussing initially when we kind of got the ball rolling with, Santa Fe, that we didn't want to look into shows and stuff like that. But it ended up being, my wife and I had plans to eventually move out of Salt Lake, and now we're here in Texas. Our guitar player Jake's getting ready to move out to California, so don't think this group that you hear on the song is going to be playing together anytime soon, touring like that or anything. But hoping to get something started here in Texas to do live shows.
Oh, that would be really cool. If you guys ever do get that going, make sure to film some video of it. I'd love to see that first show, and I'd love to see them going forward.
Yep.
So, talking about that, obviously, like you're saying, this is your guys' first single that you guys are putting out, and I don't want to spoil anything too much or whatever, but are there any songs that you guys are going to have coming out in the near future later on after this? We're here to focus on Daughter of the Witch, but I am curious because you guys, like, that song blew me away. I gotta have more.
Appreciate that. We do have another one, sitting in the wings right now that is ready to go. We're just kind of spacing it out, seeing how this one's going to do. And then we have some that we're still in the process of recording, hoping to get those sent out. And yeah, we're hoping to just have like a steady drip feed throughout the year of getting music out there.
That's a really smart move, especially kind of in this new digital age where music, everything kind of comes at you so fast. Sometimes it's easy to get wrapped up in the romanticism of let's put out this whole album all at once or whatever. But I've noticed and seen that bands that are doing better are doing what you described, kind of drip feeding it over, whether it's Spotify or Bandcamp or social media. They're just doing a little bit at a time until they either have a full release they're ready to go with or whatever. And for those that are still interested in buying physical, I love physical, as the audience at home knows. And so I'm always pitching, hey, go buy things from the bands. In this case, it's going up on Spotify, I believe, right? That's where it's getting released. That's what you said?
Yeah, so it should be available everywhere: YouTube Music, Apple Music, Spotify. I'm sure there's a bunch of others that I'm not thinking of right now, but should be available just about everywhere on the 7th, this coming Wednesday.
Well, that's super exciting. Man, it has been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for being on the show. Before I let you go, there are two things I got to ask. First thing is, are there any bands? I know that you have, like you said, you haven't played any live, but are there any bands in your community that you've either gone to shows and seen, or bands in general that you feel deserve a little extra attention and a shout out?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to anyone that's not a member of the Horror Punk Outcasts social media pages, especially the one on Facebook. I found a lot of great music on there. De La Rocca is one that comes to mind. He just released his single Invasion of the Robots, which I really enjoyed. Another band, One Revive, they just dropped their first album last year, and they were another band that kind of got me okay, I'm ready to start releasing stuff too. So, and then outside the horror punk, I want to shout out my friends' bands that helped me make this song and helping in Santa Fe Prison Riot. If you're into pop punk, check out Swetzer. Swetzer, or I don't know if it'll be on the screen or anything, and Cinders if you're into indie rock.
Heck yeah. And that's always good is to shout out those kind of things. Here on the show, we have a diverse range of bands that come on. We have horror punk, we have goth bands, we're going to have metal bands, we're going to have a whole range of stuff. And while I'm at heart, I'm a horror punk and I love that and I'm going to always, help my boys out if I can. But I think it's cool when bands are able to work with other, people from other genres and bring in those influences. I think that is where the most interesting music comes from. And I think it shows in what you guys did. Um, Anyways, with that tangent out of the way, let's do one more shout out. Where do you feel are the best place to get your music on the seven?
Yeah, so best place if you use Apple Music, YouTube Music, Spotify, whatever streaming service you use, it should be available. Daughter of the Witch, Santa Fe Prison Riot, February 7th.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. It has been a pleasure talking to you and have a wonderful day.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for staying to the end of the episode. I really appreciate it. My name is William Hamilton, and I've been the host of this episode of Heartfelt Horror here on the Heartfelt Horror Media Network channel. We really do appreciate it. And I mean me, myself, and currently another individual who's behind the scenes, really do appreciate you guys staying to the end of these videos. While you're here, if you wouldn't mind leaving a like on the video, subscribing to our channel, leaving a comment down below, these little things really do go a long way to helping us, get our name out there and get our show out into the algorithm so other people like you can find us. So if you wouldn't mind doing that, we'd really appreciate it. Also, if you're looking for other ways to support the show, we have a Patreon. The link for that is going to be down here. You can copy that into the search bar and you'll find our page. Our Patreon is for $5 a month. For $5 a month, you're going to be able to help us buy all sorts of new equipment. You're going to help us be able to save up for different kind of developmental processes that we're going to be using to bring you new and different kinds of content besides these interviews. So if that sounds like something that interests you, please consider it. Again, it'll be $5 and the link to the Patreon is going to be down there below. So thank you so much for your time and have a nice day. Bye.